Hello guys, most of you have been asking me to show how do I usually register to top conferences all around the world and how we can be successfully accepted to those conferences. So right now I'm going to show you how do I usually register, what things I do take into consideration, how do I write my motivational essay for the committee, and how can I be a successful applicant in general. So you can just watch the video and make conclusions yourself and fill the application on your own, because this is upcoming new conference that's going to be held in Japan. However, due to coronavirus concerns and pandemic, they decided to move it online, and it's totally free. You can register for free, take part in this conference for free, and of course you can gain certificates for free. So why not try your chance? If you don't know how to register, you can learn most of the things from this video. Okay, I'm starting with registration, and the first thing you need to take into consideration while registering is writing your email address. So I'm writing it here. Alright, so I'm waiting for it to load. And the next thing they're asking for is my current time zone. Since I'm from Uzbekistan, Tashkent, I'm going to write Tashkent time zone. If you guys are also from Uzbekistan, then you can write the same thing I'm writing. But if you're from other countries but you don't know your GMT, you can just check it online and just put it here. So my current time zone is GMT plus 5. It's for people who are from Uzbekistan, Tashkent. And it also works for Pakistani people because we are in the same time zone. And yes, I am aware that by filling this registration form, that the conference schedule will be set at Japan Standard Time. Yeah, I agree to this. And right now they're asking for names. Alright, I'm starting with my first name and I'm moving to my last name. They're asking for gender. Here you can write your school or your university or college. If you don't study anywhere, you can just write your organization or anything that you are affiliated with. So since I am a student in Northwestern Polytechnical University, I'm just going to put my university here. Alright, and my nationality, I'm from Uzbekistan, so I'm going to just find my country right here. Alright, Uzbekistan. And now we just click next. We move on to the next stage and see what's going on. So they are asking me, do I agree to participate in the entire length of the conference? If you don't agree to participate in the entire length of the conference, you can just choose no. However, I don't advise you to choose no, because organizing committee always looks for people who are committed to the conference and the ones who want to participate in this conference the whole length without any disruptions, without saying no, I have this thing, I have that thing. So organizers always look for committed people. So please choose yes, even though you will not be able to participate in the entire conference, just to be accepted. Then we are moving on to the next stage. And right here they're asking me in case they will take screenshots during the conference or just take pictures. Is that okay by me if they just put it to somewhere on social media? So if you don't agree to this, of course you can choose no. However, since, as I already mentioned before, organizing committee looks for people who are committed, it's better to choose yes and to show that you agree and you don't want them to be in kind of difficult situation and all that. So please choose yes if you want to be accepted, but choosing no is also okay. So the application hereby understands that due to health concerns, the conference will now be held online on Japan Standard Time, GMT plus 9, and the schedule has been changed to July 4th, the 5th UNHCR Committee, and July 11th and 12th Spec Poll Committee. Yes, I understand this. So I'm clicking I understand. Do you have any notes? If not, then you can just move on to the next stage. Alright, so what's your preferred committee? What interests you the most? It's a really important question. Do you want to be in Spec Poll Committee and discuss the future of statehood in face of climate change, or do you want to be in UNHCR in order to discuss the future of refugee children? I personally want to be in the second committee, so I'm just putting the second committee right here and moving on to the next stage. And right here you're supposed to write an essay, and I can say that this part is the most important part of your application, because especially essays, motivational essays, answers to the questions, decide whether you are applicable to take part in this conference or you're just like average person. What I can say is that you don't know anything about MUN, you're just a new member of MUN, or you don't know what is UN is about, you don't know what's your goal. So that's why all the time Model United Nations try to put this kind of motivational essays so they can make sure that applicants are aware of what they're applying to. So right now I have to pause in order to write my motivational essay. However, while I finish, I'm going to show you and explain why I wrote this and why it is important that I wrote this. So as you can see on my essay right here, first sentence of my essay starts with, every refugee crisis is a children's crisis. Since the main idea of our committee is about children's refugee crisis and all that, it's very important to make your first sentence related to this topic, because the first sentence of the essay is the most important part, because whenever the reader, the person who is evaluating your essay is reading your essay, the first sentence is the most captivating part that's going to take his or her attention, and she just keeps reading on. However, it's not captivating, she just leaves your essay and moves on to the next just applicant's essay and read that one, because maybe they don't really have time checking like thousands of essays, thousands of applications. So try to make it as much captivating as you can for the reader to understand and to see that you are the most worthwhile person, the worthwhile person who is attending and who is just applying in this committee. Alright, so then I give some background information, some statistics, and also I show how I am concerned about it. They need to be defined, they should not be only defined by their vulnerability, like the girls and boys should not be left behind. I showed to them that I am really concerned about this topic and I want to talk about it. And the next thing I did is to show why do I want to take part in this committee specifically. Why do I want to take part? So I am saying that even though United Nations is taking a lot of actions to prevent this thing to happen, United Nations is doing a lot of actions, we still need to discuss it. And MUN ATIU 2020 is the best platform to take part, to discuss these issues, and to find feasible resolutions. When you are writing motivational essay to specific MUN, you definitely need to highlight the name of the MUN. And after that, the committee is going to be more interested. Oh wow, this person is prizing our MUN. This person is actually interested. This person did not copy paste any kind of other motivational letters. This person is showing how much she is or he is concerned and how much he is so excited about taking part exactly in our conference. Alright. And make sure to divide all of your paragraphs. Do not make it only one paragraph so the reader can differentiate. And right now we are moving on to the next thing, and I'm not sure what is it yet. Alright, so they're asking for the country preference. So right here you can choose the country you want the most, and as much as I know, they even have private sectors and NGOs. And since I haven't ever taken part in MUNs like a private sector NGO, I want to give it a try. So what I'm doing right here, I am going to choose Save the Children Private Sector NGO as a first choice. And as a second choice, so it's by mistake, I am choosing Bangladesh because I know Bangladesh has a lot of issues with refugees. So I want to just address these issues and just represent Bangladesh in this field. And the third country by my choice is going to be, so far, that's a tough choice, but I would like to represent Syria. Alright, it differs for many people. Some people try to choose strong countries so they have more points to talk about. However, other countries try to choose weaker countries so they can just protect them and give more ideas regarding this issue. It's up to you. What's your strategy? Do you want to be strong? Do you want to have more funds in order to just stand up for yourself and say we are tackling this, we're doing this? Or do you want to be one of those vulnerable countries so you can just stand up and say, so this is happening in my country, however, if we unite as one nation as a whole, we can tackle this together. So you need to choose your own approach according to your strategy. And right here we are supposed to write another motivational essay. Explain your reason for choosing your first preferred country. So what you can do in this sense is just to research on the country. For instance, if you choose United States as the first choice, you need to research what kind of things United States is doing in terms of children's refugee crisis and what are the actions, are they effective. So you need to write, I choose this country because United States is doing a lot, United States is doing this, and we have upcoming projects, this. I think United States is the best country that is tackling this problem, so that's why I want to be representative of United States. Or if you choose NGO, you can talk about why this NGO is important in particular and what kind of actions this NGO is doing. Just research on it and write your essay. So right here I'm going to stop because I'm going to write my own essay. Alright guys, I finished my next essay right here and I wanted to explain why I wrote what I wrote. So the question was, please explain your reason for choosing your first preferred country. Since I chose NGO, which is Save the Children NGO, I decided to explain why I chose this NGO specifically. So first of all, I had to research what kind of NGO is that and what's their purpose, what are their actions that they are doing currently, and why is it important. So since I gained some information about this NGO, I tried to put it into my words without copy-pasting, because whenever you're writing application to MUNs, take into consideration that MUNs hate copy-pasting. MUNs don't like when you just copy some stuff from other sources and just paste it here. MUNs always look for your voice. So my first sentence was explaining what Save the Children stands for. First of all, they try to improve children's life around the world and some background information, what they do and why it is important. And the next paragraph contained their role in MUNs. Why do you want to choose this NGO to take part in MUN? And I explained myself because I don't only want to care about the provision of equal rights and sustainability for refugee children, but also I want to emphasize their crucial role in uniting nations and to call them to action. So what I want to do is to call all the nations in United Nations Committee, Model United Nations Committee, to action. And how can I do that? With the help of being the representative of Save the Children. And on my third paragraph, I explained what I can do as a representative of Save the Children. And as you can see, I divided all paragraphs into three. I did not mix them by making all of it into one paragraph. So what you have to do, first of all, is to give a background information. And the second thing you need to do is to write why this committee in this NGO, why this NGO, why this committee, or why this country in this MUN. You need to explain this. And the third thing you need to do, what is your part of contribution? What's your plan? What do you want to do by being this country or this NGO in this committee and in this MUN? Alright, right now we have to move on to the next part. And we are waiting for this, and apparently they have some more essays to write. I wonder why do they have so many essays? That's probably because it's a very prestigious conference. So the first thing they ask for is, do you think this experience of being a child refugee hampers his or her development? How so? So you have to write this essay up to 300 words. And they have another essay which is, should child refugees be considered children or refugees? If you believe that it's the former or the latter, how so? You can approach this from various angles, including human rights, legality, and even economy. And the third thing is, some people believe that legally defining child refugees as a refugee will lead a lower possibility to accessing goods and necessities. Do you agree? Why not? It's up to 200 words. This one is 400 words, and this one is 300 words. Alright guys, I have to say that it took me a while to write all this essay. So as you can see, there were questions using the experience of being a child refugee hampers his or her development, and how so. So I had to answer whether it hampers or no. And according to my answer, yes, it definitely hampers the child's development, and the reason why is refugee children are among the most vulnerable group in the world. Every day the risk of loss of some kind, including the loss of the future that every child deserves. So I first reason it why it's the case. I gave the reasons why it is the case, like as you can see here. And at the end I say children often cannot access schools outside camps for reasons of security, lack of documentation, and other restrictions. So I try to conclude the main reasons why it hinders the development in just a sentence, so the reader, the person who is evaluating my application, can have a better idea what am I talking about. And on the second essay, they were trying to ask me, should child refugees be considered children or refugees? If you believe that it's the former or the latter, how so? You can approach the form from the various angles, including human rights, legality, or even economy. So I try to approach it from human rights aspect more, and also legality aspect, but I didn't touch economy aspect because I don't know what I can write from this aspect. But if you know what to write, you can also of course write. So they should be considered children who are refugees. We cannot separate both of it from each other, and here is the reason why. I try to give the main idea of my essay that is following after the sentence in just a sentence, so the reader can understand what he or she is going to read further on and move on. Alright, try to make it easier to scan very fast, because I'm sure like evaluating committee doesn't have time to read all of it, and try to make it in paragraphs, your ideas organized, so the reader can understand, the reader can evaluate it properly. So why it is important, like why we cannot separate refugee and children, I try to explain the ideas that children are defined as children, so we cannot say that refugee children are the same as normal children, so that's why we cannot just call them children, and we cannot also just call them refugees, because there is a huge difference between child refugee and an adult refugee. So I try to address this thing through my essay by defining what is a refugee, what is a child refugee, what is an adult refugee, what is the difference. So you can do the same. And the next thing I did was the next question, which is some people believe that legally defining child refugees as refugees will lead to a lower possibility of accessing goods and necessities. Do you agree? And why not? So I think it's the opposite, because if we do not define child refugees as refugees, there is no one who is going to protect them, there is no one who is going to look after them, give them some accesses to security, to protection, to sustainability. That's why it's important to define a child refugee as a refugee in order to protect them properly. So that's what I defined on my last sentence. Therefore, I believe remaining their legal definition as a refugee is important for protection purposes. So, but before that, I gave some examples like what kind of rights refugee children have and why they are defined legally as refugees, and why is it important to define them as refugees legally. So you can do the same, just to take a look at the essay. So you need to organize your ideas with paragraphs, and what do you want to say, you need to explain it in as much details as you can. Mostly the organizing team tries to give you some tips in application form, how many words you need to use, so please be careful about it. So they say around 200 words, so I try to make my essay around 200 words. I know it took a while, but I know that it is worth it because it's a prestigious conference. So just take some time, sit down and write the essay. It's gonna take an hour or 1.5 hours maximum, but it's gonna be worth it. Why not? It's an experience for you. So right now I'm moving on to the next stage. I'm not sure what's the next stage yet. I hope it's not an essay again, because I don't know why, but this Japanese MUN put a lot of essay requests. Mostly MUNs try to put only 1 or 2 essays, so they also don't take their time reading each applicant's essay, and they don't also want to take applicants' time writing this all. But apparently Japanese MUNs are kind of different, or maybe this MUN specifically is different just because it's prestigious MUN and they're just trying to make it for free. Yeah, that's probably why. Let's see what's going on right here. Probably I'm facing some internet connection problems. That's okay. Alright, so while we strive to accommodate country requests, sometimes this is not always possible, so you need to take it into consideration, and that's the end of registration. And what you have to do is just to submit it. I hope your registration is going to be successful. I hope you gained important tips how to apply to this MUN particularly. If you are late to apply to this, or if you're watching this video a little bit late than you were supposed to apply, then that's totally alright. You can just draw lessons from this strategy of how to apply to MUNs, and maybe use this strategy when you're applying to any other MUN, to know what the organizing team, what the person who is evaluating you is looking for, and what you need to try writing the most. Wish you all the best of luck, guys. I hope your application is going to be accepted successfully. Please turn it on and please watch my videos. I'm going to share a lot of tips on how to apply to some particular thing, or maybe online courses or conferences, and I'm going to share a lot of tips with you. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.